Right. You recording? Okay. Alright. It's the time. 9 minutes to midnight. Nice nighttime ride home. Love a midnight ride. That's that for another day. Alright, good evening. Shortly to be good morning. 5 to midnight. Little ride home after a long shift. Just thought I'd stick the camera on. Give you a little explanation on a few things, give you a roundup, bring you up to speed on all the things that are up. First of all, really, I suppose I've got to mention Brightona. I suppose most people know by now from the comments boxes that Brightona was a bit of a washout. It rained and rained and rained. Rain fell down, as they say. It was a massive storm depression over the whole south coast, and it enveloped us in stair rod rain for 24 hours. We saw it coming. It was forecast the day before that, and it came with a vengeance. It was raining when we got up, and it was raining when we got home. Now, as far as making the video, well, we didn't, and a couple of reasons really. One was that Monkey Boy here forgot the camera until about 10 miles from home, but as we were only 10 miles, I said to the Penster, look, should we shoot back? We stopped in a garage and said, oh, I forgot the camera, what do you reckon? And we looked at the sky, we looked at the rain falling down and said, well, it's just not worth it. On two fronts really, it's boring and miserable. There's nothing to film, the event's not going to be anything like last year. And the danger to the camera. And that sounds really anal, but that camera that we would use, our camcorder, because you can't film on a GoPro, that's for different things. I suppose we could have done, but we didn't. And the concern was, the biggest concern was getting that camera wet, and it turned out to be a wise concern and a good move. Camera would have gone in a plastic bag inside my rucksack, and when we got home at the end of the day, I had 3 inches of water in the bottom of my rucksack. It had rained that much and just worked its way through the zip. So the camera would now, irrespective of a plastic bag, 3 inches of water in the bottom of the bag, all the heavy items like cameras would work their way to the bottom through the spare gloves and spare t-shirts and whatnot. And it would now be trashed, and we wouldn't have a camera for the garage, which would be a disaster, because I can't afford another one. Not flush at the moment, just bought the bike and so on. So it was a good move. So sorry folks, no video. But if you want to see one, my mate Duke Dyson, Dave, he filmed one himself. I think he took his camera phone and did it on that. So check out Duke Dyson's channel. Make sure you subscribe while you're there. Dave is a brilliant mate of mine. He's a wise old sage, a good vlogist, and an engineer. You know, those mechanics that do maths. So check it out. There's a little bit of what happened at Brightona on there. But for me and Penny's part, we didn't do it. We had a great time. We really did. It was one of those endurance rides that stays in your memory for years. 5 hours on the road in total. That's a long old time in heavy rain, it really is. Everything was wet. Everything was wet. The Bandit performed beautifully. Can't fault it at all. Absolutely cannot fault it. I covered all the foam in bin liner, plastic and gaffer tape just to get there and get back so it didn't get wet. Didn't hurt it at all. It just jet blasted the back of my rucksack with water all the way, which is probably why it filled my bag up. But there you go. I think the highlight of the day for me and Penny was Her Majesty herself tail sliding through a junction. Awesome and spectacular. We were approaching a little road junction on the A270 road into Brighton, and it's a busy old road. Traffic light junctions get oily and greasy where there's traffic and trucks and stuff always parked on them waiting for the lights to change, and I guess there must have been something slippery, and because with all the rain, as Penny does, as we all do in heavy rain, you bias the back brake slightly. You don't brake so hard with the front. And Harley Davidsons, if you ride a Sportster, you'll know they got a big dinner plate for a back disc, and they got powerful old brakes, and I think she just overcooked the back brake slightly and then hit this greasy patch or a bit of diesel or something, and the back locked up. Now that's all right, normally it locks up in a straight line, that's why you bias the back brake. But she was on a camber and the locked rear wheel just tracked sideways, so she went past me on the inside. I'd stopped at the lights. I think she tried to stop, but the result was that she tail slid, fishtailed through the junction at about 30 mile an hour, sideways like a speedway rider. Bit of flat tracking on the Harley, and then stopped about 3 bike lengths on, looked round at me and smiled. What's that? What happened now? Brilliant. Absolutely hardcore, baby. Proud of my Penny Pitstop. Wonderful, well done, Pen. Kept it upright, didn't drop it. I was just waiting for it to go down. You know what it's like, tank slapper, it's all over, boom. Nope, she just lifted off all the controls, rolled the bike upright in a straight line. Skill and talent, fantastic. Well proud of her. And proud of her for riding 5 hours in pissing rain. There you go. I suppose that brings us to the Bandit as part of a little roundup. I've done the back end now, that's all done. Come on. All the structural stuff's done, it's back on the road. A couple of little jobs to do. I've got to cover the seat foam, as we've said over and over on the comments. I will cover it. The foam itself is waterproof, that's fine, no problem with that. And it's formed a lovely scallop where I sat on it for 5-6 hours in the rain. But I'm just concerned about the vulnerability of the foam. It's not robust enough. Catch it with a boot or something, it could get ripped. So I'm going to get some foam, some vinyl sorted out for it. Don't know what yet, but I'll get to that. It's not priority right this minute. A couple of other things in front of it, in the queue for the garage. I've got to fabricate some sort of mudguard and a bob thing that goes around the back wheel. I want to do something like the BMW adventure bikes have, that goes around the back wheel low down. They're brilliant. They stop the rain flicking up, but they're not a fully enclosed mudguard. So I'll, like I said, fabricate something like that. Thinking about different ways, working perhaps with fiberglass, copy the knobbly pattern, I don't know. So there's a couple of little jobs, but fundamentally the Bandit's done and dusted. It can ride now, and it all, as soon as those bits and bobs are done, by the end of next month, it will get pressed into action for its winter tour of duty, which is all the salt, bad weather. Just gone midnight. Midnight on the clock. Fantastic midnight riding, love it. Nothing on the road. And in the new year, I'll probably take the Bandit off the road again, just to get it, do that front end. I've got some mad ideas for the front, crazy stuff I really want to get done. So that'll be a project as soon as the winter's kind of the worst of it's broken, because I don't want to trash the Triumph by riding it all through the salt. It's a new bike. I want to give it some respect. It's alright riding it now in the rain. I haven't washed it more than once. God, it's copping. But as far as salt and filth and all that black stuff and slurry in the winter's concerned, I think the Bandit can take the worst of that. As for the Triumph, next on the old list, a few changes. I wanted to do some personalisation of the bike, and one of the things that I think is really important is these hideous handlebars. I absolutely fucking hate them. I like the rise. I wanted a high-rise bar. That's cool. That's the Scrambler thing. But it's this kind of, I don't know if you can see it, it's this straightness. They kind of come back at me. and then flat. That's almost a straight line as you look at it, and I hate that. A standard Cowhorn bar should go forward and then come back, a bit like an XR1200 bar. And I've got some on the way. I've ordered the Renthal road bike high level bars, which, having measured them, are 10 mil lower than these, so nothing significant. Oh yeah. But the greatest part of the Renthals is they're narrower. These bars are too wide. They're 800 mils tip to tip, and that's too wide for street bars. You're clobbering cars with your mirror and stuff when you're trying to filter. It's too much. And the Renthal road bike bars, they're 1.25 inches or so narrower each end, and that's going to make all the difference. So they've been ordered, they've been paid for, they should be with me, I reckon, probably the day after tomorrow. Well, it's 3 minutes past midnight, so tomorrow now. That makes sense. Thursday. And there'll be a simple job to fit. I did a Renthal bar fit on the Bandit about 2 years ago when we got it, and I think it's time to do it on this because there's a few differences. So that'll be a video. The exhaust as well on this has got to be done. It's quieter than a farting sparrow at the minute. It's horrible. You can buy the Tour exhaust, the Triumph off-road versions, but they're identical to look at. They're just open, nothing in them, but they're still mad money, £300-400, and they look the same. When I bought the bike, I was all into the theatre of that retro classic look, and that's all right. I still like that, but since then I've found that there's a whole customising craze. Yeah. There's a whole craze of customising these things like little street scramblers, and if you look up the Rumbler, the Triumph Rumbler, the German customised thing with the Öhlins forks and the little tiny minimal seat and that fantastic arrow can. So the 2-into-1 arrow is probably the leading one. That's probably the one I'm gonna get. I don't know, there's a few others. I like the Zard Cross. That's a fantastic exhaust. It goes under the bike rather than up the side. So a few options, don't know, but I'll save up the pennies first. A lot to do before we get there. A lot to do. A lot to save up. So the Triumph's going to get lots of bits and bobs. And finally, it's the old Harley Davidson. It's time to do a service on Penny's Harley. So that's up soon. We've got 5,000 mile service due now. I think it went over mileage on the ride last weekend. And that'll be an oil change. It's the minimum service, the minimal one, the minor service, if you like. The one that Harley like to charge £257 for now. I've got the oil and filter, it's 32 quid. Everything else is checking and adjusting, so that'll be a video shortly, probably by the weekend. So there we are. About 3 or 4 different videos to come, different subjects. I'm going to get back into motor vlogging. I like a bit of this. I haven't done a review of the Triumph yet, purely because I haven't finished reviewing it for myself. I love the bike to bits at the moment. It's grown on me enormously since I bought it. You throw it around like a stupid toy. It's fabulous for that. It just loves roundabouts. It loves bends and curves. Torquey like you wouldn't believe. Oh, let's go. Alright, let's just get through this dark bit. So there we are. Sorry about Brightona, it just wasn't to be. Too risky for the camera, too miserable to bother. Lots of videos to come, lots of fun stuff on all 3 bikes. Customising, servicing, repairs, and the Bandit will always be ongoing. So thanks for tuning in to What It Always Garage. So now 7 minutes past 12. That was a fun little ride. Take it easy, folks. Be safe. Keep the rubber on the road. I'll see you next time.